Let's get to your top ideas, Paul. We're starting with Checkpoint Software. This is a network security company out of Israel. It's been around for a long time. But as we were discussing off air, it seems to fly under the radar for a lot of people. So what is it that's appealing about Checkpoint? And have you held it for a long time?
So we have held it in the U.S. portfolio. We then moved it to our North American portfolio as well recently. What I like about what Checkpoint's doing is I think cybersecurity is going to become a big theme over the next several years. We've seen it already happening with SolarWinds, and then you also had it with Microsoft recently on their servers. So I think the problem, what's happened with the world is we've digitized so quickly that the world has become sort of fragmented in technology. It's easy to control the technology environment if everybody's in the same place. That's one thing. Once everybody's dispersed, it becomes much harder to control the technology environment. And so cybersecurity is going to become a big problem over the next several years. And you've already seen it where the US government even is trying to, put money on the table to actually help companies with cybersecurity. I think it's a very big issue. And I think Checkpoint has really had a strong background in this area. As I said, like I said, there's an Israeli company. One of the things that's happened with the company is that they've had an okay quarter, but they're changing like every other software company to software as a service. So they're moving as opposed to licensing. And so that's kind of thrown off their revenues a bit, but I think that they're coming out with some new products. And I think as more and more people merge to the software as a service, you'll see this reoccurring revenue in a better way. And I think the company has some great opportunities. The stock is down about 10% on the year. So I think it's a great opportunity to buy it at these levels.
I'm going to play devil's advocate with your next idea, which is Facebook. A lot of people, as you know, say it's evil. It does a terrible job with privacy. It's in the news for all the wrong reasons. So how do you square that rhetoric with Facebook being an investment for you?
So one of the things you have to remember is that they've got this massive user base, right? And I think that data that they collect is great for advertising and content. And I take that, and they've spent a lot of money, and you've seen what happened with them after 2016. Cash flow actually went down a fair bit because OPEX went up a lot, and simply because they've spent a lot of money to try to deal with these many issues that people have talked about. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I don't believe that, you saw people say, oh, well, we're not going to advertise on Facebook, Coca-Cola for a month. It didn't really affect their numbers because, first of all, Facebook really gets a lot of their revenue from smaller companies, not necessarily from these big companies. But the reality is these big companies have to advertise on this system. There's no other way around it. That's one thing. Second thing, it's really under-levered in many ways, in my view, because you've got WhatsApp and you've got Instagram, which they really have not monetized from an advertising point of view. So you have some upside there. The third part about it is that North America, their ARPU in North America is quite high, but ARPU in Europe and Asia is quite low. So there's lots of room for it to grow on an ARPU basis.
Right. Sorry, just to stop you there, average revenue per user for those who may not know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right, average revenue per user. Sorry about that. And the other thing is, finally, I think that this is a company that has EBIT margins well above 50%. Right? I don't think you can get that from a lot of places, and they certainly are the second leader in digital advertising next to Google. And digital advertising is growing quite substantially. So I think for all those reasons, there are regulatory reasons. I think the US economy has a lot of other things to deal with as opposed to dealing with Facebook and Google right off the bat. But there may be some changes happening and they may be forced to do different things, but that may take a long time to happen, right?
All right, and your other idea is First Service. This company is in property management and maintenance, another one that's been around for a while. It really seems like a very steady business with a lot of sticky revenue. Are those some of the main reasons why you like it?
Yeah, so I like it for one reason. It's asset light. They have very little fixed assets. They have very little capex. But what I really like about this company, it's a Canadian company. Run by Jay Hennick initially, now done by Scott Patterson. Jay started doing this when he was a young person, cleaning pools, and then he developed First Service. It is a great story because they've grown from $30 million to $2 billion over the last several years, right? So over the last 20 years, basically. So I think what people forget about this stuff is that they grow by acquisitions, small tuck-on acquisitions. The other thing that they grow by is by organic growth. Although they're a big player in it, the industry is fragmented with a lot of mom and pop places, especially on the property maintenance side. And the other part of the business is the franchise business, and you may know it from owning California Closets is one of their big franchise businesses. So together, when they put all those things together, they constantly grow on a regular basis. They've got a great, you're buying a company in Canada that has lots of US exposure. And I think that they've shown that they've been able to execute on acquisitions very well and grow organically very well. And I think this is a great story, a great Canadian company that people sort of never want to own because it's kind of always expensive. But I think that there's a great opportunity to buy this company because they execute incredibly well. And so I've really liked it for a long time. I've held it for a long time. I think they are one of the best managers in the industry.